Now then, hello, everybody. Welcome to the live stream. My telly's just broken. It's all going on here. Sorry, a little bit later tonight. As you know, I was live earlier. Brilliant. Thank you, everyone, for being here. We've got 138 already. It's Friday night. There's a lot of people streaming on a Friday night. So I'm grateful for anyone that comes in. Thank you so much. Thank you. I think Mama Bear Blues just joined the membership. Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much. You're so kind. Thank you. Hello, welcome everybody coming in. We've got Gemma, we've got Una, we've got Alan Edge, we've got Kerry. These are all our members in the house. And we've got moderators, we've got free speech in, we've got Gypsy Witch as a member, Mama Bears, thank you for joining the membership. Karen is here, Chumba, Anne, Smiley, Gail, another member, Maltese, thank you so much. Little Miss Sunshine. So, okay. The thumbnails will probably change after. Funky's another member. Hello, everybody. Right then, so what we're going to be doing tonight, hello, Teresa. Hello, Stiff Upper Lip. Hello, everybody. Now, what I'm going to be saying is my Simon Schofield video, even though it's going to be what is in the public domain and I'm not going to be giving an opinion, I just need to check with a solicitor before I release it, so just bear with me. So what I've done, I've privated the 3 videos they asked me to do. Okay, hello, hello, Nicola, hello, everyone. I can't say everyone because people are coming in as I'm talking. So the 3 that they wanted me to private, I have out of goodwill. I'm not an unreasonable person. Okay, I am not unreasonable. And the article is still up. Now, if they want to stop people talking about an article, then they need to get the article taken down, surely. Now, it's not my fault. Oh, you've had a baby, Morag. Oh, congratulations. Amazing. Oh, congrats. If there's an article in the public domain, then I don't understand how they're trying to silence me. But just bear with me for my video. I just want to get a few things checked out by a lawyer. Because I see that there are many, many other channels talking about this, and not one of them have gotten a letter. Why is that? Why are they picking on me? Right? Why on earth are they picking on me? I'm only a little YouTuber. I'm disabled. I'm not bothering anybody. I'm just digging out truth and articles that are in the public domain. Why are they picking on me? Why aren't they picking on Tropical Juice, who used my research and made a video? Why aren't they picking on Sean Atwood, who's talking about this? You know, why are they picking on me? It does seem like a bit of a campaign of hatred. And it's not on, you know, it's now becoming harassment where they're emailing me nearly every single day. I want to know whether they're emailing anybody else. I've given them links to channels who have stolen my content and said, right, this channel, can you read to the box, please? This channel have stolen my actual video, right? They've stolen my actual video and I've removed my actual video, and this channel have got my video up. Go to them. Why aren't you taking them to court? It's something's going on here. Something is not right. I'm telling you. Something's not right. Anyway, hello everybody, welcome. So tonight we're going to be doing part 2. What did you do? You gave it a good scene too. TV's back on. Right, the TV's back on now. So I must be hitting a nerve. So anyway, just bear with me, guys, okay? I'm gonna be just checking out with a solicitor. So I'm going to be just checking out with sisters. Just bear with me, okay? Penny said, I am angry. I'm not going to lie. I am angry because I want to know why I'm being singled out. It doesn't seem right when there's others that are doing this, who are doing it, and I'm not. And why aren't they being singled out? So I'm just going to get this back up, what we were watching yesterday. So just bear with me, okay? We're going to start where we left off. Now, we did half of it. and we're going to watch the other half. So I'm just going to grab it up because it was 2.5 hours, wasn't it? So I've just got to find the right video. Just got to find it now. Where is it now? Because I know a lot of channels have just uploaded snippets. Don't tell me it's been removed the full 2.5 hours. Come on. Really? Guys, I can't find it. Just bear with me. I'm just looking for it. It was the full 2.5 hour video. We watched it yesterday and it's disappeared. What's going on? If anyone's got the link, please send it to me. I'm still looking. Just bear with me. What I'm going to have to do is go through my library. If we can all welcome everybody in. I can't see chat at the moment, so just bear with me a minute. We've hit 16,000 subs today. Amazing. I never in my wildest dreams thought that I would ever hit 5,000, let alone 10, let alone 16. I just want to say a massive thank you. Paz did such an awesome video as well for me today, which I thought was really nice. So thank you to Paz. Now, I'm just trying to look. What? No, I don't watch later history. Right, okay. Just give me a minute. I'm just going to go through my watched videos so I can find this video. So welcome in everybody. Just give me a moment. Oh no, that's not it, is it? Did you all have a nice day today? Have we got any plans for the weekend? Morag's just had a baby and she's on here. That's amazing. So was it all natural? Was it all healthy? Was there no complications? I hope. If you're talking to me in chat, I can't see chat. So if we get any trolls in, just sod them off. We're sick of trolls. We don't need the trolls in here. Trolls are all knobheads and bullbags. Right, it looks like this might have been removed, guys. I can't find it. This is not good. This is not good. Okay, with I'll tell you who've uploaded it. The Independent have uploaded it. Thank you. So we can watch it on the Independent. Thank God for that. The full video's gone. That was on Parliament TV. So, okay, awesome. I've got it. I've got it on the Independent. Right, I'm back now. I can see the chat. Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome. I was just getting it up. It's gone. It's disappeared, but the Independent have got it. So what we need to do is find where we were yesterday, and then we're going to go through this and see what exactly was said. Now, I was pretty disgusted in what was said yesterday. I don't know about you guys, but it was pretty bad. Utter just contempt for me, arrogance, and just arrogant about the entire situation. Oh, thank you, lovely Jubbly. How kind. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Hello, Kimberly. Hello, everybody. Hello, me, my love. So just bear with me, guys. Hello, Leroy. Yeah, slow mode's on 15 seconds. It's only because people complain that it's going too quickly. Hello, Scottish Davros. Freedom for Britain. Hello. So just bear with me while I just speak to a solicitor. Now, I have already got a solicitor about other things, so I will speak to them. Okay. Now, I just want to make you aware as well that the trolling has ramped up because of what I'm covering. So if any trolls come in, just get rid of them. Seed, me brummy bestie, right then. So we're going to try and find where we were. We're going to break down what was said, and then I'm going to give you my thoughts on it. Now, we won't be having our phone in tonight because we've been covering this. So it will probably be Sunday night. We'll have our phone in and we'll be discussing. Well, I think we'll do a paranormal phone in on Sunday. So it'll be over on my other channel. And then next week, we want to get a few streams set up and we'll get some more content put out. There are rabbit holes that I'm going down at the moment that are pretty bad. I'll explain more in a video. So here we go.
formal setting, that may well be true.
Try and find where we were
that.
now.
There were a couple of formal meetings which were had with HR. There were multiple kind of informal meetings. And remember also the motive with the question was to help person X, so that if anything was worrying him or troubling him, or if there was anything he wanted to say that was inappropriate, because the rumors were rife about the inappropriateness of this. And therefore, that is why he was asked at various different points of time in many different ways and by different people. And there was one particular person, the head of production, who has a very good relationship with and he trusts. And she's the one, I think, who was very much saying, if we can help, please say anything that, we care about you. That's where she would have been coming from.
So you don't think that's Ruth, do you? Because I don't think Ruth would be head of production, but I know Ruth was very close to Miss Lemons. Oh, you've joined the membership. I missed that. Sorry. Oh, thank you. I keep missing these things. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, they're paying for Phillip's counselling. Who is head of production? That wouldn't be Ruth, would it? She's just a presenter. Apparently, Ruth is still at Loose Women. Is that right, folks?
On some of the questions.
I thought she left.
I can't decide where this line is, because two consenting adults who both work for your company, where is that line between just a gross invasion of privacy? You mentioned your workplace relationship policy. If I, as an adult woman, entered a relationship with a man, who wasn't vastly different in terms of rank or status to me, is it any of your business? Is that?
No, look, I think, it's important, this thing about imbalance. And I feel that's what we've taken seriously. It's not about trying to invade people's private lives and who they see and what they do.
She's implying that this is invading the private life. Can you see the full 360? Just a few weeks ago, everyone was raging. Now people are coming out and defending this. This is sickening. It really is. This is just so wrong.
So some relationships that work, I think we all know, are inevitable. I think the most important thing we can do is to maintain a professional attitude and boundaries, to make sure all of our people know that they have to have a professional attitude and they have to have boundaries to avoid inappropriate behavior. And that's why we have the code of conduct, the safeguarding policy, the speaking up policy, the workplace relationship policy. The whole thing we are trying to do every day, actually, is to ensure that we have a safe and respectful place where people come to work. So if you cross that boundary, and I think you would say that someone with that kind of different dynamic in power, that was inappropriate. And I think we would have, if we had had any evidence or knowledge of that, if Phillip had said that to us, we would have acted swiftly.
Isn't she arrogant and just, what's the word? I can't think of the word. She's just vile. And all she's doing is waffling, and her mouth is moving, her gums are flapping, but she's not saying anything new, is she?
In that we would have investigated and we would have taken action. However that action would be, I can't say, because it's high.
So at the Soap Awards, right, which I think was in January, but I need someone to double check. The NTAs, the National Television Awards, sorry, when Matthew declared his love for Phillip because Phillip had dumped him and apparently he was seeing other boys. That is the alleged accusation from others, not from myself. Everyone's seen that. The producers, Holly, the bodyguards, the audience, Dan Wootton, everyone's seen that. So when they seen Matthew declaring his love for Phil and crying and getting drunk and being thrown out, when you put that with all the rumours, how much evidence does this person need that there was something going on? I don't get it. I don't understand how they can deny it. And I agree with Caroline, what's her name? Carol McGriffin. I can't say her name. She thinks that there is something much, much, much deeper, and this is tickling the surface. And do you remember when Phillip had those names of those MPs and he was interviewing David Cameron? I think it was in 2012. Now, somebody has sent me the names of those MPs, which I won't be repeating, but where did Phillip get those names from? There's something more here. And I think that that's what Caroline, well, I can't say her name, was hinting at. Where did Phillip get the names of those MPs from, and why did he bring that up? And he had to do a big backtrack and apologise for that. You see, Phillip is meeting the men young. We haven't got any evidence that he's actually done anything illegal. But what if he knows about those that are? This is just way much bigger than one person meeting a younger lad that's underage and then having sexual relations when he turns up of age. There's more to this. And I think that's where people need to be looking, because this here is just a cover up to say, we're looking into it. Nothing's happened. He's gone now. Business as usual. But I think people aren't going to stop asking questions. Let's see what else she's got to say.
Hypothetical, because it would depend on
Welcome everyone coming
when
in.
and where, but it was inappropriate.
Please hit the like or the dislike.
To
If you don't
have a
like what we do, I
relationship
won't be offended.
with someone so junior in daytime.
Thank you. Many armchair commentators on social media would point out the irony of Parliament speaking to a company about appropriate relationships at work, but I'd like to ask, what action would have been appropriate? I know you've said it is hypothetical, but the circumstances are fairly clear, and the individuals are known to you. So what would have been appropriate reaction had one of the individuals admitted it and said, we're in a relationship and it's all fine?
Hi, Debbie.
I think that's where the context is very, very important. I think the context becomes all important. So rather than going through all the scenarios, I think we have to say it would depend on, we would say this is a deeply inappropriate workplace
I agree,
relationship,
Marcus. I think there's
given
more to this.
the power imbalance. Deeply inappropriate in any context.
Would you have covered that up?
No.
If one of the individuals had admitted a relationship?
Why would? No, I don't think so. I think, it is their private lives, but it is in the workplace. And therefore, if once it is in the workplace,
exactly,
I think it does
that's what they're
become
doing.
something that we wouldn't in any way try to cover up in any way.
Got it.
Would you have taken one of your biggest stars and someone who nationally was everyone was
Hello,
so fond
Linda.
of? Would you have removed him
Hello,
from?
Samantha. Hello,
Yes, I
Helen.
think if that was necessary,
Hello,
if the
Una.
context gave us that,
Hello,
if the investigation
Vicky.
said,
Hello, Beverly.
that things have emerged that are deeply inappropriate in the workplace. And I think if we'd known that at the time, we'd have acted very swiftly.
Thank you. Thank you.
Julie.
Thank you, Chair. And good morning. Good morning.
Did you hear that?
One of the things I want to ask...
That lady said, good morning, good morning. Hello, Communist Pingu. She totally blanked her. How rude and arrogant are these people? Let's not forget what one of our subscribers said, that she was an airline hostess and she met Holly and offered her a drink and she didn't even answer. We're buffering, guys. What's going on? Hold on. Are we back? We buffered then, apparently. The arrogance, let's just go back a few seconds, right?
Any context.
Would you have covered that up?
She says hello to her.
If one of the individuals had admitted a relationship.
Why?
No,
David, I don't think so. I think it is their private lives, but it is in the workplace, and therefore, if once it is in the workplace, I think it does become something that we wouldn't in any way try to cover up in any way.
And would you have taken one of your biggest stars and someone who nationally was everyone was so fond of? Would you have removed him from?
Yes, I think if that was necessary, if the context gave us that, if the investigation said, that things have emerged.
It wasn't an investigation, remember?
In the workplace.
It was a review.
And I think if we'd known that at the time, we'd have acted very swiftly.
Thank you.
Right, watch this bit now.
Thank you, Chair. And good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, nothing. Batman!
One of the things I want to ask about is Phillip Schofield has said that
arrogance of this woman
got Person X's jobs on other ITV shows that he worked on. Were you or other members of IT management aware that he'd got this person jobs
Yeah,
on other
I
on the
agree.
programs that he worked on. And is that usual that stars have that preferential treatment of people?
Right, so I think I'll answer that, and Kevin can come in here. I think the first
Did you hear
thing
what
to
she
know is,
said? Why is it that stars have got that much influence on who gets pushed through? So this guy had a showreel made. Now I've showed parts of it. I had to mute some of it because of copyright issues. But why was no other runners of any other stars given a showreel? You know, him on stage at the NTAs. Why was he on stage? Why was, you know, he was given all this stuff? Why? And in 2014 was when Matthew, there's a newspaper article that's still there, and it states that he's doing his like sort of like an internship at This Morning, and how excited he is. So he would have been just turned 18 at this point, and he looks such a young lad. And why was he chosen out of all of the people at the school, at the theatre? Why was he chosen and not others? Rylan was married and got divorced. There's something more to Rylan. Rylan is trying to tell us something. There's a few little things that I've picked up from Rylan, and I will be making a video, because whether you like him or not, I think Rylan has a really good heart. And turn up the volume on me or on I can't turn the volume up on this video anymore. It's on full. So, and I can't turn the volume up. I can turn the volume up on my microphone. Is my microphone too quiet, guys? Let me know.
is that when it's been reported that he's a PA and a personal runner, that doesn't exist at ITV. No runner is a personal runner for anyone. There is a pool of runners. There are 3 on the daytime on This Morning.
So hang on a minute. There's no such thing as a personal runner, right? Oh, thank you, everybody. Thank you. Wayne, you said this yesterday as well. I don't understand. Listen to him. There's no personal runner. Well, that's funny, because he was glued to Phillip Schofield in every sense, according to people that worked on there. And people see this every day. This isn't me saying this. This is what I don't get with the lawyers, right? This isn't my opinion. This is the opinion of what people are saying who were there. And this is what articles are saying. This, you know, this is what I don't get. Why are they picking on little people like me? Hold on. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Is you going to do that pizza for? Yeah, thank you. Right, sorry, I'm back now. It's disgusting.
And they all share the work. So Person X was working for Eamon Holmes. And
everyone said it was Phil's personal runner. And this is why we need to listen to this and break this down, because so many people won't do this. They'll see the clips that they're shown on the news, right? And then that's it. They'll just say, oh, it's gone to Parliament, it's been sorted. We need to actually listen to what these people are saying, you know? We need to listen to what they're actually saying. Because she's just contradicted everything that everybody has already said. Can I have pizza?
Ruth Langsford, as well as Holly, as well as Phillip. So that's the first fact that I think is very important. And we don't have PAs. We have PAs, but they're not runners. So that's important. I think, Kevin, would you answer the question about how it works in terms of what people ask for and what they don't ask for?
Yeah, it is common for presenters, performers to want a sort of familiar crew around them. Certainly, always, I would say, with sort of glam teams, as they're called, with the dressers and the makeup artists and things like that. Less so, perhaps, with runners, though I don't think this is the only occasion. I would say certainly for researchers, for writers that they trust and know and things like that. So they do move around. I think, as I mentioned before, remember, This Morning is slightly unusual in that it never ends, so it's just on forever. Other programs, you know, can have a very short production period, and it's not that unusual for producers to bring people over, for presenters to say, well, can I have that nice researcher that worked for us, he was seeing very bright, whatever it is. So it's not that unusual.
So what he's saying doesn't make any sense, because the boy, it was his first job. All right. This doesn't make any sense because he came from a theatre school. Sid! Oh, thank you, Sid. He came from a theatre school and it was his first job. So now he's trying to say that people move around. Thank you so much, Sid. And that people request them from working on other productions. Well, that doesn't make any sense. Yeah. This is why we have to listen to what these people actually say. And it's unbelievable. It's just totally unbelievable. And this should be across every news station so people can hear this because it's utter bullshit. Right. Hello, Daka, mate. How you doing? Thank you.
And I think on what you're referring to, I think actually the agent requested person X. It didn't come direct. The agent requested it, didn't come direct from Phillip.
Yes, it would nearly always be the agent that would contact, not us.
Did you hear that? The agent requested Matthew. Whose agent? Phil's agent? Matthew's agent? What would Matthew have an agent at that age? I wouldn't have thought so. Sid! Oh, thank you. How kind. Thank you. See? They're just doing, hello, Johnny, not pal. They're doing it again, right? Whose agent? Why would Phil's agent request this young lad? And why would this young lad's agent, which I doubt he even had one at that point, this doesn't make any sense. It must be Phil's agent because surely Matthew's agent, if he had one at 18 or 17, wouldn't have the clout to go up to Phillip Schofield and say, I want my client to be your runner. This doesn't make any sense, does it, guys? Doesn't make any sense. Why aren't these MPs asking these questions that I'm asking? I would love to be grilling these people. Oh, shit, hang on. Drop me drink. Luckily, the lid's on the bottle of pop. Right. Okay, let's get back to this. Thank you again, Sid. You're so kind. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I think we need to look into a lot more. I'm going to do a bit of a deep dive as well, because have you noticed how Talk TV, Rupert Murdoch, right? Excuse me. I think he's knee deep in this shit as well, in my opinion, purely because he's Talk TV. Vanessa Phelps does Talk TV. She's come out defending Phil. Piers Morgan's come out defending Phil. Talk TV. Talk TV were going to have Phillip on. They've only backed off because of the utter backlash. So why Talk TV? Why is Rupert Murdoch's TV so interested in I can hear now. Oh, okay, Wayne. Oh, that's good. You've got to ask these questions. Why is he bothered? Are we timing out trolls? If they're coming trolling, saying nasty stuff and attacking, then time them out or block them. If they're just coming in saying, I want to burn your rabbits or I want to, kill you and stuff like that, then just completely block. But if they're just like being a bit argumentative, just remove their comments and then if they carry on, time them out. I know it is Johnny, not pal, but we need to break this down, mate, so we can hear it for ourselves.
This level of person to say, Phillip would like this.
It's a live stream, David.
Can we do that?
It's going to happen. You are going to get.
And didn't we find out that person X was
chatting and me answering questions?
Yes, I think he was asked. I think actually Eamon and Ruth asked for him to, because everyone thought very well of him. Could he come and work? I think she was doing work for QVC or something. And could he come and kind of help out on that? And I think he did, and things like that. So there is a lot of movement.
Whereas I can understand it for things like makeup artists and things that are very personal.
QVC.
You can have that rapport and think somebody does your makeup very well or whatever. The runner, it's a different type of job. Do you think if this happens, which clearly you're saying it does, it's appropriate to do that?
I like this woman. She's asking the right questions,
level of
guys.
Input in those kind of decisions.
The thing is, what I would say, what I've seen, because I've gone to a lot of live shows, and what I see is that what a runner will do is just get everything organised. Taxis, take them to the taxi, get the taxi in the right place, make sure there's some food in the dressing room, water in the dressing room, whatever you want there, whatever you want here. That's what a runner does. A runner just does, makes life easy for whoever they're working for on the show, and often they're working for an entire show. And so I've personally seen how runners help on Dancing on Ice, for instance, or on The Voice, for instance. Runners come to every show when they're being produced live. I mean, that's certainly my take on it, but I don't, what do you think?
And they tend to work, remember, runners are usually just used for a couple of days when the show's actually being recorded. So for production last week's, but they're maybe not around during the week, but they're on set to help get everything
Drink
done.
whiskey is dressed as a
Julia,
fucking
you're
elf.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, as I say, we are not complacent about this. If with Casey Review, in fact ourselves, when we start looking through again, if there is something where we could tighten up how runners maybe register what they do or something, there may be something there. Because you're right, they're runners and they're very happy. They want to do well, and most runners are actually very ambitious. They don't want to stay as runners. They want to become.
Make things tick. If we're being
and they
honest.
really make things tick. Yeah, so there may be something there.
Phillip Schofield announced his departure from this morning, as he said, on the 20th of May, and he said, "I understand ITV has decided the current situation can't go on." Who made that decision?
I did, I suppose, ultimately, in that, but these things are collective and they're a discussion between producers and the head of daytime and various other people involved. Constant dialogue with the...
Interesting comment there from, was it Manny? Manny says, I worked at The Guardian when she was boss. She was so detached from the average worker. She's a joke. That's really interesting. Would you elaborate more maybe on a future show? I would love you, if you're allowed to talk about that. Interesting.
The agent.
It's always good to hear first-hand experience.
As big a thing as this,
but if I can just expand the question.
Yeah, he was pushed, wasn't he? He resigned, but he was pushed. But the thing is, if this was nothing, if this was absolutely nothing, then why did he leave?
Question about what do you think the situation was that couldn't go on?
I think it was the media speculation. It was amongst the staff, amongst some of them. It was this is sort of relentless.
Up on at the
Will
end,
it ever go away?
Don't mind.
How can we make this sort of program with all this scrutiny? And I think everybody came to the opinion. Philip didn't argue against it or anything. I think everyone felt it to come to a natural point.
I can remember the whole court appearance of Philip's brother, and all of that whole thing was playing out just before all of this.
Did you notice how that, though? This is the thing, right? That the way that the brother got done, it was so dodgy. Now, I'm going to go back over that because I think there's things that we missed because we wasn't paying as much attention as the brother getting sent down as what we would have been if it wasn't all about Phil, because it was all sort of happening. The brother got sent down on the Friday, if you remember, right? And then this sort of broke over that weekend. So there's a few things with that brother's statement that don't add up. And it from what I'm reading, it seems like he got 12 years. It seems to me like he was saying that Phil knew. He knew what happened with the brother. So I think we need to go over that again. So there's a few things I want to revisit. These are things in the public domain. So we're sticking to articles. Whenever I put an article out now, or whenever I give an opinion on anything, whenever I give my thoughts on anything, I always back it up with sources anyway. I always have done. But I will be doubling down on this is the information. This is the link to where I got this information from. You guys go and look and make your own decision, But I again, for those of you that are waiting for my next video, just bear with me because I do need to speak to a solicitor. And for the two people that say that I never had a letter and I'm making it all up, I haven't got a response for that because that's the most ludicrous thing I've ever heard of in my entire life. But there you go. Just to add as well, Jane has seen it all. Jane, I don't think Jane's here, but she's seen it all. Hello, David. Good to see you back, my friend.
Rumours that, about him as a result of his brother being in court and all the very awful things that emerged there. So I think the pressure on him was just enormous, actually.
And On the 20th of May, when you said you look for, and you've sort of answered a bit of this, but you look forward to continuing our relationship with Phillip Schofield. Did his resignation from ITV days later take you by surprise?
Yes, because it was completely due to the fact that he'd lied to us all this time, and he realised, I think, that it would be untenable to work with all these people that he'd been directly lying over years to us about. So I didn't have to make the decision about removing him from the instant thing was these soap operas that I mentioned.
It's a real solicitor.
Because he chose to step down and said, I'm actually leaving media completely.
Charles.
But certainly he felt he couldn't really expect us to carry on employing him after he lied over such an important issue.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can I just quickly take you back to the issue of runners? There are reports that this young
Does anyone know who she is, the chair of this? Does anyone know who she is? Because I'd be interested to find out who all these people are. I don't recognise any of these lot, do you? Like, and there was a few of them at the beginning declared their interest in ITV. They'd received what they called hospitality. So if you missed part 1 yesterday, guys, if you're coming in, this is the grilling that this committee gave these three here, mostly her and him, and most of them declared at the beginning that they had a vested interest in ITV. They've received hospitality, which could mean pretty much backhanders, bungs, it could mean holidays, champagne, no one knows. But so they're not even like impartial. Now, couldn't they have found some MPs or, people that didn't have a vested interest? This is what I don't understand. Like, why aren't they getting neutral people that have never had anything from ITV before? Because if you've had a backhander or anything from ITV, they call it hospitality. You're not going to want to burn them bridges, are you? Because then you won't get it again. It's insane. It's totally insane. There's no impartiality whatsoever. And again, this is all a big distraction from what's really going on. There's so much going on right now. And why aren't they talking about the plague? Why aren't they talking about the vaccine injured? They're not talking about that. They're talking about this. These people should be having Big Pharma here, and what's his face, Dr. Doom, whatever his name is. I can't remember the baldy one. Looks like an alien. They should all be here. It's ridiculous.
man made his own showreel on the This Morning set at ITV's expense, using all the production team that were in and around the set at that time, after
so sorry to
normal
hear that,
working
Willow.
hours. Is that a sort of facility that's made available to all runners?
I think if requested, it would normally be granted. I think if suddenly there was a floodgate and 30 people were in a line saying, I want to do a show reel. But I think if you're, as we now know, very friendly with the presenters, because in effect, it's a minimum. I think it was 1 camera or something.
Are you listening to this shit? Them show reels cost thousands. Dan Wootton was on there, was talking to that Carolyn McGriffiths, I can't say her name, but Chris Whitty, that's it, Anne. Thank you. And she said it costs thousands. Did you hear what? Is it normal for runners to get a show reel? Well, it depends if they're close to the presenter or not. And it's only 1 camera. What?
But it's about having Phillip and Holly prepared to stay on for 15 minutes afterwards to talk to you about, to do your show reel. So I think it's that. So this wouldn't be the first time.
It was Phillip, it was Holly, there was a cookery section, wasn't there? I mean, surely that this must have been over and above the sort of.
Can we find out how much that costs, please? Where's the paperwork?
ITV would have offered. Surely this shows some kind of preferential treatment.
Well, none of us would have known that show reel was being made. And I would say that actually, I've just said, I think runners are usually very ambitious, and they will want to make their books, they will want to do their video reels, they will want that because they want other jobs, they want to show what they can do. And so I don't know of another instance, but I wouldn't know. I mean, it wouldn't occur to me.
So there's no other instance that she knows of, but she wouldn't know. Well, you should know because you're the chief executive. What's going on here? Hashtag, where's the paperwork? Where's the HR report to say that you what was it? She doesn't do an investigation now. She did a review. She keeps changing it from review to investigation, back to review to investigation. Where's the interview paperwork with HR? Where's anything? You've not. She's literally produced absolutely nada here. There's no evidence of anything whatsoever.
Somebody else would do this,
Arrogance
but
of this
it,
woman.
I don't. I think the fact that most of it, as far as I saw, was a cut and paste of some other programs. But he did interview Phil, and he did interview Holly, and he did interview Ruth and Eamon on this show reel. And I'm not sure that would have aroused in daytime much. I mean, if the head of data.
He interviewed Eamon, Ruth. He had Holly on there. He interviewed Phillip Schofield, and they were touching knees. This is not a quick 15 minutes with one camera. It was a full show reel. It is absolutely disgusting. And Matthew, like someone said to me today, I don't know how true this is, but someone said that there's a photo of Phillip and Matthew from 2 days ago up north. Now, I would love to know if that's true, and if anyone has a copy of this photograph. And because why would you see, Phillip has admitted that he's paying for his lawyers. Now they're doing it for free. They're only doing it for free because Phillip has admitted he's paid for them. They shouldn't be using the same lawyers. And they need to just like leave Matthew alone. I read this woman earns 3 million a year, says Mega Mosh. Wow. There's something really deep going on here, and I'm getting people contacting me saying there's another 3 that are going to come forward. I don't know how true this is, but I think this is just going to get swept under the carpet now. Adrian Allen featured the photo on his channel today. The photo was taken 10 days ago. Oh, and then Terry says, I reckon that Phillip Schofield should take a lie detector. Good point, David. The setup with question is all quite poor for me too. It's terrible, isn't it, John? Right, so Terry Wookfit says that the photo was from 2019. Yeah, I'm a dame, exactly. I think Ryland's the key, yeah. I have been looking over Ryland to see what happened, because I remember thinking at the time, why has he just suddenly left? Because there was a big hoo-ha on about it. And he started coming back on a Friday, if you remember. He started doing the odd Friday when Phillip wasn't there. Now, and Ryland has been leaving little clues on Instagram. So we're going to do, I'll be doing a video on that, because I feel for Ryland. He seems, I remember him on X Factor. He used to do my head in with his singing, but he seems like a really down-to-earth guy, you know. Hello, Phil. How you doing? Happy Friday. Ryland is great mate with Ruth, says Debbie. Cheryl will cost a lot because of the... Exactly, Liz. Payment to the people Matt interviewed plus editing. Yeah, that's what Dan Wotton was saying. They cost thousands, the show reels do.
Daytime had been worried about that.
Poor Ryland.
She would have done something about it. She'd have called him aside and said, what were you doing? Why were you doing it? That's company resources. I think generally people are very encouraging of runners. They want them to do well.
To be clear, this is a service that would be equally open to any other runners that were working on
Yes,
this
it would
morning.
be. You'd have to get, it
sign-off.
would be very informal, of course, and so you'd need the producer to agree, and the
Show us another one
whatever
then.
members of the
Show
crew
us
you needed, they would have
one more show reel from any
and
other running
in this
car.
case, Phillip and Holly and Ruben and
Fucking
Eamon
hell.
and Ruth would have had to agree. So you'd have to be on pretty friendly terms or good terms or whatever to get everyone to say yes. Of course, we'll hang around for 20 minutes and help you out.
But your question is, would we do this for anybody else? I think if as long as it was not getting in the way of the show, and we could help people, whatever level they are, to get their next role, we would do that.
So
We're
where
very
are they?
encouraging.
Where's all the
Were
show
there any
reels?
other
Ask
runners
them.
who've
Well, I
made
mean, we
their-
haven't looked, to be
No.
honest. We
Might
haven't
be worth
asked.
adding to
We
your
haven't
Why
looked.
haven't you looked?
Sure.
Thank you.
Why haven't you looked? The arrogance of this woman. Why isn't she prepared? She's coming before MPs. She's supposed to be under oath, and she hasn't even got a shred of evidence with her. She's got no paperwork backing anything up whatsoever. Couldn't make this shit up, folks. Could not make this shit up. No evidence, guys. No evidence. Hello, Blackjack.
Rupert.
Thanks, Chair, and hi everyone.
Why aren't they
Yeah,
questioning her?
just sorry if I missed this, but did Phillip Schofield have any role in helping the young man secure employment at ITV in the first place?
Good question.
So he introduced Person X into ITV. Carly, do you want to do the date sequence of this?
Sure,
Because it's
sure.
quite important, and the age.
Of course. So Person X first got employment with ITV when in 2016 when they were 20 years old. The previous year they had done some work experience. We now understand, looking back into it and having seen the Phillip Schofield interview at the time, or interview a couple of weeks ago, that he passed the Person X asked for some work experience. Phillip passed details of who to contact at ITV. The individual filled in a form in the normal way. To put this into context, we do about 250 work placements a year. There are about 50 to 60 in daytime each year. The individual filled in that the connection was a family friend, that he was a family friend of Phillip Schofield.
Family friend.
No one thought anything of that.
Family friend. This kid, a family friend. Now, what was he, 18 now? So he'd done work experience before. Yeah, I like Skip Donahue. Go back and change it. I like it when people have their original names. This is just insane. Like, they're saying that they take on all these runners every year. Now the question is, why aren't they asking how long does Phil know Matthew before they got to this morning? Because if he's a family friend all of a sudden, why aren't they questioning when Phillip was at the Two-Face Theatre Company, where he was a patron of, when he was hanging around with these kids, and he was hanging around with Matthew when he was a young lad? This is what I find sick. He was hanging around with him when he was a whippersnapper. It doesn't seem right to me. Now, if you listen to Phil's interviews, which we're going to go over them again next week, we're going to go back over, because we didn't listen to the full interviews. We listened to bits of them. I think we need to go back over the interviews in full, because there's so many contradictions. But he actually says there that they became mates, like they were just two like similar age drinking buddies. That doesn't just happen. And we need to listen to what Phil said, because I think Phil gave a lot away in those interviews. And I do agree with what people have said tonight, and I've said this before, that Phillip is actually covering a lot and taking a lot of flack for what these lot are covering up, because he's just the tip of the iceberg. Now, he may not have done anything illegal. He could have been told to do what he's doing. We don't know. But I think that he is possibly like an Epstein type person, where he could actually blow the lid on a lot of this, and then look what happened to him.
Many people put forward individuals who are family friends for work experience. We will have a lot of that at ITV.
Definitely free speech.
He did his work experience age 19 for
exactly, Ruth.
roughly 2 weeks. He came back the following year and did some more work experience and impressed people. People thought, and I think anyone who has commented, who has known the individual who has commented over the last few weeks, I think everyone has said that he was an impressive individual and much liked and did a good job. He did well in his work placement, and as with all runners who do well in the work placement, they're put into what's called the runner pool, sort of a rota, where if there are gaps or vacancies, they can be called upon to work on programs. So he went in to the runner pool, which is not managed by...
Well, he went there in 2014, and he was 18 then when he went there. But he knew Phillip from way before then, because Phillip was visiting the Two-Face Theatre Company, and there's a photo with them. And Matthew's only about 14, maybe younger there.
By any of the talent, it is managed by our production team and HR team. And he was offered a short contract when he was 20 in 2016, did well in that, and that became a longer term fixed contract with ITV.
Because all of us get emails all the time from people wanting work experience, and I mean, I always say I only take paid staff. So there is it's not what you know, it's who you know in the whole work experience field.
No, it's a really good point. We do a number of different things on work experience. We don't really want to do, I mean, altruistically, we want to do a lot of work experience, but actually it's quite a hard thing to do because you have to chaperone people who come in for...
What's going on?
You have to chaperone people who come in for
Enjoy
work
all the
experience, so
talking
it's
then.
intense on resources, and you have to do a good work experience program. So this was 10 days and will have been done properly. So you're absolutely right, because we all get these emails about work experience. We do work, just so you know, very formally. We have a very formal way of doing this as well. We work with Creative Access. So that we can give work experience to
What's
people from
creative
very, very
access?
different
Anyone know what that
backgrounds.
is?
So
We need
that
to
we
look
get
into that.
social mobility, and we get diversity, and we get, you know, a whole range of people that would not get
Very,
opportunities
very
because they would not know
yeah,
someone
very,
who would
very
be able
strange.
to do
I don't
this.
need
So
to-
we do that. But in addition to that, in our policy, it says you can, as someone who works at ITV, what you can do is just you can put them in to the right person. So there's a line manager that deals with it, and then if they can do it, they do it, and if they can't do it, they don't do it.
No,
So
Matthew's date of birth was March. I'm not going to give the date away, but I know the date. March 1996. He was 18 in 2014. He wasn't 20. So, yeah, sorry, 20 in 2016. Yeah, 12 in 2008. Yeah, exactly. And like that's like one of us at like the age, I don't know, the age 40 meeting a 12-year-old, and then in a few years' time going on to sleep with them, and to make it worse is that you're married and you're supposed to be straight. Do you know what I mean? Like it's if this was a girl, if Phil was known to be straight and married and no one thought he was gay, and he was doing this with a younger girl, there'd be so many questions. And I think that's the problem, is that if you're parading as straight and you're actually not, and you're spending time with young boys and you're a bloke, there's a whole new level of underhandedness, because people may have thought, well, it's a straight bloke with a young kid, he's just helping him. But if it was a straight bloke with a young girl, there'd be more questions asked. Do you see? And that's what this is, another big problem, is that he was parading as one thing and not being honest. Now, apparently everybody knew he was gay. Going back to Spitting Image days, it was just common knowledge. So people was just shocked that he wasn't out. Most people said to me, we didn't even know he was married, we thought he was just gay. There's nothing wrong with being gay, and the way that Phillip has used homophobia is just disgusting. And I've been contacted by many gay people who have said they find it abhorrent that he's hiding behind that to try and justify his actions by hiding behind homophobia. There is real homophobia, but this isn't it. If it was, then why would we support Rylan? You know, it's got nothing to do with that. It's to do with the children, the imbalance of power, the grooming a child from a younger age, which is what he's alleged to have done, though he denies this. It's the entire thing. And again, I think this is just the tip of the iceberg. I think there's loads more, so much more. And if everyone found this out, then we'd probably all be jumping off cliffs, because I think if we knew what really goes on, I'd think that the population as a whole would probably have a mental breakdown, because I think that there's so much sickness that goes on that people just don't realise. Protect your children. That's all I'm going to say. Protect your kids. Just watch everything, what they're doing online, going off of these groups and joining these dance classes and that. You know, that our children are just being completely brainwashed now because of all the internet as well. And we need to be more protective of our children. And I don't care if I'm overprotective of my son. I don't care.
Just something else you said is that sort of agents were involved. Just I'm trying to understand, is it YMU, the management company or something? Just what's their role in this?
I like this woman.
Because you told us when you were first aware of rumours swirling around and you started probing a bit.
would they, if they had been aware of concerns, would they have said anything, or are
Yes.
they a supplier that doesn't want to
Oh,
fall
no,
out with
they're not a supplier.
ITV?
No, they're not a
their
supplier.
relationship with you?
Kevin can explain this.
Yes, that YMU
No,
is a large agency of mainly presenters and so forth.
Wow.
And we've had a long working relationship with them. They, sorry, what's your question? If they
Kind of
knew
like
how
what
do
their
they work?
relationship with ITV is.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, are they-
it's.
would they have raised alarm bells, or would they not want
Yes,
to
they would.
because
I
of
think
their
if
relationship
they
with you?
certainly would
Oh,
if they
thank you,
thought
Vicky, darling.
something surprising, untoward, or
Or even a
whatever.
production company. if
Thank
they're
you.
such-
Yes,
I
they
don't
would.
know
They
in this
would
show if there is.
probably first off go to the producer of whatever show was relevant here, because that would be their contact. That would be the producer in effect that chose the hiring of whoever is
Well
on
said,
screen.
Bridget.
So they would
Yeah, I know,
have
Willow.
a regular
Right.
contact with the producer.
Donahue, yay!
I mean, at a bigger level, they might go to the head of entertainment or the head of daytime or me about what's going on. So I think you would like to think if they knew of something, they would have said it. And because we did speak to them a lot over this particular issue over the couple of years or whatever it was, they just constantly denied that anything untoward was going on.
And I think, they made it very clear that they did not know anything. In fact, they had lawyers working on behalf of Phillip to defend him because he had denied it to them so strenuously. And you were in a number of meetings with them, with the lawyers, because we were asking them questions about of Phillip. So our relationship with them is they represent our presenters, and therefore we negotiate contracts with them, but they don't supply us. I mean, they're not as
They don't make
programs or something. They don't make
Hello,
programs.
Jane. Hello,
and
Rex.
you've instructed a KC, so obviously you're taking it very seriously to review the facts of this case. Are those
What, Rex?
results going to be published in full so we can all see?
The findings will be published.
Was this that
And
Q
just,
stuff again, saying that
sort
people
of,
have been
is that
killed?
normal for your normal complaints procedure? How independent is your complaints procedure? I know from watching both Morning Show, which sometimes this saga feels like, and Succession, people kind of joke about, internal investigations. They can be used for many purposes, can't
That is
they?
TV. I'm afraid that's fiction. But
True,
anyway,
but
we'll get on
like
to the
fiction
facts.
and faction and reality
Let's
are all
have some
merging
facts.
here.
So we take all complaints very seriously, whether they're raised informally or formally, whether they're raised. We've got very clear grievance procedures and how things need to be handled, disciplinary procedures. So if someone raises an issue internally, it will be assessed by HR.
Your own HR department,
Our
or
own
an
H-
independent, like this
it-
is a QC. It's
in
going
the
outside.
first instance, just to ascertain the facts, if someone raises an issue and it's an HR related issue, our HR team will assess the facts. They will then work out whether it's something that where we need a formal investigation into it. If we have a formal investigation, depending on the facts, not in every case, but in many cases, what we will do is ensure that the investigating manager, so a senior manager within ITV, is brought in, but from outside outside the relevant department. So, for example, in one of the cases which has been widely covered in the media recently, where the individual was not named, but it's been widely covered that they raised issues about bullying and inappropriate behaviours in the workplace. The HR team called in a senior manager who actually was one of our heads of news from elsewhere in the organisation to come in and be the independent investigating person. And that they conducted with HR support, they conducted a review into that particular case, looked at all of the allegations, looked at the documentation, interviewed a raft of people. And in that case, I can say, it hasn't been said publicly, but none of the allegations were upheld in that particular case. So in that case, we did it internally, but with an external, outside the relevant department, senior manager as the investigating manager. In the case of Dr. Range, as Carolyn has said, we instructed an external HR company called HR Clarity, who conducted an external investigation. We look at each situation and the facts as they stand and the severity of the allegations that are swirling, and decide whether it's more appropriate to do something internally or externally. So it's not one size fits all.
Okay. And you mentioned Dr. Rand raised a complaint.
Of course
Is
they
it
won't,
the same as the
VL, no.
GMC, the Law Society?
That's what I said at the
that
beginning.
BAME people get?
That's what I said. Why aren't they interviewing Big Pharma? Why aren't they interviewing Chris Whitty and all them lot and Boris Johnson? And it's sickening, you know. This is all a distraction, but we still need to break it down. Hello, Melissa.
Get complained about more than non-BAME?
Some of these are asking some decent questions. Like she seems to be asking some decent questions, but then they're not following it up after with more. What's happening is they're asking a question, she's answering it, lying or not explaining, and then they're just accepting it and moving on. There's no sort of cross investigation going on, if that makes any sense. You know? Yeah, he's married with 2 daughters. Oh, I believe that about Daniela Westbrook. I'll look into it. I think it's a problem across the whole thing, across the entertainment industry. And I think it's also it's very prevalent in Parliament as well. I think there's so much going on that we just don't know about. Cross-examination, that's it. It's not happening. Why? Why is nobody... Was it just the one day they were there? I think it was, wasn't it? It was Wednesday, wasn't it?
I don't know if you've done these
Well,
figures.
that
but just
people of
Asian
colour
doctors,
complain more, do you
yeah,
mean?
about.
We've not
I know
reached
he
about
raised the
that.
complaint.
We
I don't know if
haven't-
you know that.
I don't
think
know
we've done-
those statistics.
I mean, given that, how many complaints have we
So
had?
can I
Gosh,
just say that
that's
over the last
questions, you know,
5
they don't
years,
like
we've
it.
looked at the statistics, we thought you might be interested in them. There've been 128 complaints.
Sorry. Actually, I think this is going to be coming to later. I was just interested in the BAME thing, if you want to.
But
this
now
is-
that I've started,
get
so
back-
128
Sorry.
complaints
Show the proof.
which have been
Face.
investigated by our HR team, either formally or informally, across ITV, across the last 5 years. And of those, 5 related to this morning, 5 of those complaints of the 128 across the last 5 years. And as we've said earlier, 2 of those related to bullying or harassment, and both of those have been discussed so far today.
And just last one from me. We know that
Show some proof. Where's
Phillip Schofield's
paperwork?
previous co-presenter, Fern Britton, apparently left because she was paid
I know, okay.
£225,000 less than him. Is there
year
differential
was
pay
that?
for the same
Gosh, that
role
was,
in your
when was that?
organisation?
that's sort of 12 or 15 years ago, I think.
Right, so everything's all
It's-
overhauled.
I think you'll
Yes.
find that everything has changed quite
Yeah.
a lot. Yeah,
So Philip and
so
Holly
on
were-
equal pay.
How
Philip
much
and
of
Holly
it
on the
depends
same.
on the individual show?
Could you just repeat that? What did you just say?
Yeah, I would say Philip and Holly were on the same wage because they were doing the same job. But probably not, although it was a long time ago, not when they started, because she would have been junior and he was already well established, sort of thing. But we've made it a policy now that when people are clearly doing the same job, like panelists on a show or something, they should be paid equally.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Rupa. Can I just quickly go back to the KC review? If there's anything that Ms Mulcahy finds that's outside of the terms of reference that you've published, what will you do to ensure that these are appropriately
She
treated?
looks familiar. Who's she? Anyone
I'll just
know?
start and I'll
Forgive
hand it to
me.
Kyla. We've
No,
said
before
really
on
clearly,
TV.
there's a paragraph in the terms of
Can't
reference
remember
that say if
where.
anything comes
Brilliant.
up that is not in scope, she will capture those and she will bring them to the attention of the board.
And once that review is concluded, depending on the findings clearly, will you be potentially reviewing the position of any ITV staff?
Hello, Pebble Dash.
Look,
Anyone
I
know
think,
if this is forgive
we're
me?
taking the review, as you can see, extremely seriously. We wouldn't have initiated if it
Baby's
wasn't very
body.
serious.
She
I
was on
would
the TV,
say
wasn't
that
she,
we
Louise?
will
Forgive me,
listen
really
to
bad,
everything
yeah.
that's said, but I don't want to get into hypotheticals or
Hello,
preempt
Julie.
the case
Really
review
bugging me now.
or prejudge it.
How potentially
Everyone can
might you
Google it
hold
while
people
I'm
to
here.
account depending on these findings?
But as I
Seen
said,
her
I
on
think that
TV.
depending on the findings, we will listen and we will learn and we will act. But I don't know what the findings are going to be, so I'm not going to go into a hypothetical
Caroline-
situation that I don't know of yet.
What other parameters are
Can-
there? I mean,
can
worst
someone
case
do a
scenario,
quick
would
search?
I
you
don't want to
hire
talk about
them?
scenarios
What
that we
she
don't
was
know
in.
yet.
Thank you so much, Gail.
Chair, I'm
Thank
afraid
you,
that
Bridget.
we would just be speculating as to what the findings are going to say. And the reason we've got a KC is to
Yeah.
take away speculation
I agree,
and to
Fran.
look at the process, to look at the facts, to look at our approach, and then to come out with some findings. She will be able to interview anybody that she wants. She will be able to go anywhere she wants with her terms of reference, and so there will be nothing to hide.
But if it was found that there was basically a cover-up for ITV this morning over this, people could be sacked.
So she's
As I said,
corrupt
I
herself
don't want
then, basically. So her dad is Fred Dinich. Did he work for ITV at all? This is ridiculous. This is just awful. Where's the independent people grilling them? Dane Dinich is a Tory MP. Is this bird here? Sorry, what's her face? What's her first name? Sorry, Caroline Dinich. Okay, thank you, or Dinich. I don't know how you say it. I've seen her on TV before. This is an absolute farce, isn't it? Yeah, it's just a conflict of interest all around. People need to be like questioning this shit. They really do. Looks like she doesn't. Yeah, I think most of them don't want to be there. Fred Dinich of work for ITV. See? Dinich. Okay, thank you. You couldn't make this shit up, folks. So her dad worked for ITV. So there's no independence whatsoever here. They're all colleagues. Wow.
want to get into hypotheticals because that is hypothetical currently.
Thank you very much.
And I'm thinking that's why she asked a good question, and there's probably put a couple of people in here that aren't involved just for good measure, for shits and giggles. And whenever they start asking deeper questions, they just talk over them and then go to the next question. But I know I've seen her before on TV. So we'll do a little bit of a deep dive into her, shall we, and see what she was on. Because all this needs exposing. Yeah, it's a weatherman. I'll have a look after into these people.
And good morning, everybody. Can I just say what I don't think this is about? I don't think this is about whether Holly now hates Philip and whether Eamon's in the huff with Holly and Kevin. That seems to me to be utterly irrelevant. I think it probably benefits ITV for the tabloids to chase this particular hare or that set of hares. I think what this is about bullying and protection of staff.
Oh,
I think
thank
that's
you,
what the issue
Julie.
is, and I think that's why we're here, and that's why we want to
Deep
talk
state
to you
then
about it. In that context, what did you feel, Dame Carolyn, when you, after weeks of bullying headlines, you saw the editor of This Morning, Martin Frizzell, tell a reporter in answer to her question that he didn't like aubergines?
I think you asked this of my colleague Magnus Brook, and
I
I
did.
think he said it was ill-advised, and I couldn't agree with him more.
Where is he? Why isn't he there?
Martin has made a mistake. I think he knows he made a mistake. I think he didn't intend for it to come. I don't think he intended to say that, but I don't.
He did, though. He was looking out the window. He saw there was a crew there. By the way, an ITV pool crew. There's been some speculation that he said that because it was a Sky crew, but it was an ITV pool crew that he said that to. He knew they were outside. He came out. He looked as if he thought he was coming out with a clever line. That's how he looked.
Well, look, what I would say is that, Kevin has actually spoken to him. He can talk to that. I don't believe anything Martin said there in the heat of the moment was reflective of our culture. I don't.
I think why it matters. It matters not because it was a ridiculous and absurd and possibly vulgar thing to say. It matters because he's the boss of that program. It's a program that is mired now with allegations of bullying. He knew that. And if you're a young staffer, before this whole stooshy began, if you were a young staffer, he was the person that you'd go to if you're worried about bullying. I know you told us that you could respond anonymously, but he was the boss of that program. That says a lot about the culture of that program, that he took such a mocking and dismissive attitude towards bullying.
Well said.
Well, I think you're reading an awful lot into one comment, which was a foolish comment. I absolutely agree. And a very ill-advised comment. I absolutely agree. I think to read into an entire culture of an organization or a program from one comment from one person who probably was a bit under pressure regardless of the crew on his doorstep. He probably was. He is used to handling pressure. He should be able to handle it. He made a mistake.
Right. Well, I'm not.
So
I'm
he
not.
made a mistake.
I'm not. If he had
Why
a
isn't he
single
there?
reputation and there was no questions of bullying from anybody else, then you're right. That was just a single mistake. But like other members of the committee, I've had so many messages from folk at ITV who talk about the bullying culture of ITV. Now, it seems to me this morning, you've talked about loads of investigations, and they all seem to end up with ITV coming out smelling of roses. So I want to give a voice to a couple of people who've written to me. I've done my very best to ascertain that these are real people, either current or ex-staffers. I won't identify them in any way. Here's one. I worked for a boss at daytime, somebody senior. My boss was very difficult and would, as a matter of course, often shout and belittle staff. It went on for years with nobody doing anything
Fred
about
Talbot,
it.
thank you.
It was a toxic environment. That's one person.
Is that
Here's another
right, Dr.
person.
Raj?
I'm very pleased to see your committee address the culture of bullying and toxicity at ITV. It's a terrible place to work. Daytime in particular is absolutely toxic. Here's how it works. If someone complains about bullying or sexual impropriety, ITV pretends to investigate. They'll do a bit of a cursory glance at the complaint. Then they will answer, and they will decide that there was no bullying. The person who complains is then ultimately forced to leave, often with a non-disclosure agreement. And it's made clear to them that they can't return to the work because they've made false accusations.
Wow.
So they're very disappointing to hear, deeply distressing, in my view, to hear.
Dozens of them.
Well, could you please hand those to us? I mean, I think that
I'm promised to do that because people are
Nicholas,
very concerned
find out who it's from.
the way that they write or little clues within their messages might identify them.
You've just said they no longer work there. So
I said some did and some did not.
Well, the thing I have to say is that it is not something I recognise that characterises the whole culture at all.
Thank you, Victoria.
We've told you that we have had 5 complaints in 5 years on daytime, and we've taken all of them seriously, and only 2 of them were about bullying
liar,
any kind of question around discrimination of role. So what
how
I would say,
come people are so unhappy? How come people are so?
Mr. Nicholas,
I'll let you come back in. How come people are so unhappy, and so many people are unhappy, and yet you keep doing investigations which keep ending up showing that there wasn't a problem?
So can I just say, if we don't know of these, I've said we've had 2 official complaints. Both of them were investigated, one internally, which Kyla has explained how we did that, and one was not investigated internally, deliberately, so that we could find out what was independently, that the person who did that had absolutely no involvement in ITV. They were an HR specialist.
Show us the paperwork.
And they were not able to uphold the allegations. So I think what I'm saying to you is it's not loads of investigations. We have investigated whenever we've had a complaint. And we take it very, very seriously. It does not fill me with anything but just sorrow, really, and sadness. I've never, it's not something that we try and instill or foster. It is the antithesis of what we want.
Just to let you know, YouTube are holding a lot of these comments, and YouTube won't allow us to pass them. So if you're swearing or anything or making any sort of derogatory remarks, your comments won't be shown. It's nothing to do with us and the moderators. YouTube aren't allowing us to pass any of your comments. So if your comments aren't showing, it's because of YouTube are being uber strict. But I just want to say that just be careful. Edwardson Athelston, I haven't taken anything away. You must have had one on my other channel, because I haven't done anything. Not for ages. Yeah, they're not being deleted. They're just not being shown.
many
Leo's
people
isn't
calling
being
you,
shown
I
either.
honestly feel
I
there
can
is
see
a
it, but it's not being
confidential
shown.
way
Won't
that
let
you
me
can
show
let
it.
them speak to us, because that's the way we can actually
No.
look at this properly and do something about
Thank you
it.
so much.
We
for
will do
going
something
through
All right,
about
I'll
it.
ask them.
Yeah,
Yes,
that-
please,
Okay,
because
I'll,
I can't do anything
Right.
if they're telling you about it,
I'll ask
because
them.
I run ITV.
I'll ask them, though.
Oh God.
I think there's a trust issue.
Well, I don't think, I genuinely think that if there is a trust issue within daytime, which you're trying to describe, which
So why
you
is
know,
it then?
because you
All of these
acknowledge
people have come forward now saying that they complained at the time. Okay.
that I don't, because you've been talking to people, then there are other ways that they can talk to us that don't betray any trust issues with daytime.
We'll
So-
happily
Please
give
don't
you the
give it to
details
them,
of
let
safe
us
call to
find
pass
out
on
who
to them
they're from.
if you feel comfortable doing that, Mr. Nicholson. So that that's the external, confidential, it can be anonymous helpline. And also, as we look into these, if there's anything that needs to go into the KC review, we will be passing it on.
Right. Nadine, Caroline, this morning you've talked about the ways in which ITV talked to Mr. X about the situation, ITV. And I've written down, you've called it a review twice, I think, and an investigation
Well done.
once.
I've never called it an investigation.
Well,
I
yeah.
actually said to the
I heard you
chair-
say that, but then you subsequently used the word
I
investigation.
might have said
And the
investigated.
statement after.
Because I think what we do is that we did investigate, but I wouldn't call it an investigation, because that gives it a kind of formality and
because
structure
you've got to
that,
stand by it
because
then
of
if
the
it's
rumours and
formal.
because of the
Like
time
this
period,
sort
it
of
didn't
folks.
have.
Fucking
Okay,
joke.
I've spoken to someone who's friendly with Mr. X, who says that he felt that the review, the investigations that took place, made it quite difficult for him to talk, and he was under a lot of pressure not to talk. He quotes one particular conversation with a manager, and the words used were, "Is everything okay between you and Phillip?" Those were the words used. And he didn't, I'm told, feel that he could really answer that with any candor because, well, for all the reasons that we understand. He also, I'm told, feels that he left the programme and didn't want to. Now, I've heard a number of different people describe his move to Loose Women as a promotion that he applied for. Can you confirm that of his own volition, he applied for this job and that his job there was a promotion?
Okay, I'll just go back
Is that the
to
lunch
some of
bell?
the things you've just
I'm not kidding, take the lunch bell.
you've just outlined. Difficult to talk because he was under pressure not to talk.
ID
So
charger.
we need to understand from whom, because in every conversation he's had with the head of production, he has actually not only felt less pressure when talking to her, because she has been so supportive and helpful of him.
Well, Phillip Schofield didn't want him to reveal to anybody the relationship.
But that's a very different issue. That's a very different matter, saying Phillip didn't want him, and I don't know whether that's true or not. I don't know, because I don't have that information. But if Phillip was putting him under pressure, ITV were not putting him under pressure on anything. We were actually asking. He was coming to us for counselling and for other things, and we were helping him to be able to talk freely to us without anybody else in the organisation even knowing about it. So I want
Did he apply for a job at Loose Women?
I come on to that, but I want to be very clear that it's Phillip that was putting him under pressure and not ITV that was putting him under pressure, because they're two quite separate things, and it's very important we stick to facts.
So who put him under pressure,
The fact
Phil?
of the Loose Women issue is that he absolutely applied for that job and he got it, and it was a promotion. But if we just track back, he actually applied for a job on This Morning as a researcher, and Kyla will give you the dates, before he applied for Loose Women, and he didn't get the job on This Morning. He went through a recruitment process, he didn't get the job. He then applied for a job on Loose Women with 29 other applicants in the process, and he got the job. And I think we have to remember, we're talking about person X, it's very hard to know. He was extremely capable, very confident young person. He really was, and he impressed people he came across. So he was ambitious.
Okay, you've said that about his ambition before, and I take that point. Anyway, I'm just relaying to you that his friend has told me that he didn't actually want to leave, and indeed that somebody was somebody was removed from Loose Women in
There
order
is
to
no
give them the
evidence
post.
for us. We have looked at the process, we have looked at the procedure,
Yes,
we
so
have looked at
who
the
got
line
removed from
manager
Loose
who
Women to let
interviewed
him
him,
in?
and we have looked at the other applicants. So,
Right.
I mean,
We have looked into this in the allegations that there are out there. And our HR teams have
So we get
absolutely
cut then, did you
confirmed,
see
as
that?
Carolyn has outlined, this was in
So we got cut then. That weren't me.
2019, to get my dates right, 2019, that he applied for a transfer. He was looking for a promotion. My understanding, it's not, I mean, Kevin is obviously much closer to the world of production and runners, but people don't.
So he was promoted to stand on Loose Women topless while a load of women fawned over him, because that's exactly what happened. It was gross, right? It was gross.
Runner to be a runner for life.
No, of course.
You're a runner and you look for
I understand
a promotion. This was a promotion.
production secretary is a
If you don't mind, let's whiz on a wee bit, because we've a lot to get through. I've spoken to a number of different people at the programme, current and former employees. They say it was a bit of an open secret what was going on between him and Phillip Schofield. People knew about it. You know, the show reel that the chair described obviously isn't a normal thing to happen. We know that. I worked in TV. Most rare for a runner to be afforded that kind of time and privileged access.
I like this guy.
When he was hired, did anybody find out what his history was with Phillip Schofield? Did he check when Phillip Schofield first met him, which, as you know, was when he was very young? Did anybody discover that Phillip Schofield had followed him on social media when he was very young? Did anybody look into that or notice that, or has that all been a surprise to you?
Why don't I take that? No one looked into the detail at the time. As I say, this was an individual, one of 50 to 60 work placements on daytime, when he came for 1.5 weeks work experience, noting that Phillip Schofield was a family friend. There were no alarm bells. There was nothing to see in that. We will have many.
How many more runners do we see dressing up as elves parading around the studio? You know, how many more of these people do we see? We just don't see them, do we? It's only him, you know. They're not providing any evidence with this happening. You know, they can't show us any other show reels that anyone's ever done. They can't show us any paperwork of any HR interviews or anything. It's just like, and no one's asking, bring the proof then. You are in front of these MPs and you need to have proof. It's awful. It's so bad. I wouldn't buy a hot dog off these people, say Gary. Exactly. These lot couldn't run a bath, let alone a channel, ITV.
Similar applications for work experience where someone lists family friend across ITV. So no one looked back into
and we
that.
wouldn't do that, Mr. Nicholson, for any work experience person. We wouldn't look into background. We would either give them work experience or we wouldn't be able
But he's not your average work experience, though, is he? Look at him. He's everywhere. That's the point when you see them disappearing off for lunch and having these little private conversations, and he's glued to him, which is what the staff use that word. They were always glued together. That's when you start to question it. He was following him on Twitter at 15. Now, if you look, Matthew says, thank you for the follow, Scof. So that means that Phillip followed Matthew first when he was 15 years old. So Phillip followed Matthew because he says, thanks for the follow. So why was Phillip following 15-year-old boys? And don't even get me started on all of the TikTok stuff, because there's more to that to come out as well, you know? Yeah, you couldn't make this shit up, Vicky, love.
to give them work experience because we couldn't do it.
And
so
he was 19 and fully supervised through his time there.
Do you know who's paying for his lawyer at the moment? Because press reports are that Phillip Schofield's paying for the lawyer.
My understanding is that Phillip Schofield is paying for it. I think Phillip mentioned that in the BBC interview, but we don't get involved in that.
My understanding is that's not true. His lawyers are working pro bono because they're concerned about some of the issues in the case. But you've been in touch with them recently?
Person X?
Yes.
Or Phillip Schofield?
No, person X.
Yes.
Can I just check how many?
Did you hear that? Did you hear what she just said? She said last night on the earlier, she said that she'd never spoken to person X, right? She said she had never spoken to him. She's just admitted she's just spoken to him. Oh my God. What happened, Jane? Why are they being timed out? Was Jane talking about me or the woman on the TV? I don't know why Kay's been timed out. Kay didn't do anything. I think Jane was talking about this bird on the TV. Thank you, Melissa.
People approach.
She's just contradicted. She said earlier on in the thing that she has never spoken to person X, and now she's just said she's just spoken to him. She's
senior management.
She's not a very good liar. You've got to have a very good memory to be a good liar. She's a useless liar.
With concerns about presenters, editors, or the culture at this morning. Can I turn to you, Mr. Ligo, about this?
What came to me directly with complaining about behaviours or something?
Yeah.
I don't think any that I can recall, honestly.
Well, that's funny because I have a copy of an email, and it says, I understand it's from ITV, referring to you. In our meeting Monday, the 4th of October, 2021, you referred to your concerns about the conduct of Phillip Schofield and another colleague working on this morning. I'm not able to share all the details, but I can find no evidence to suggest that Kevin Ligo failed to take action on the allegations that you have raised with him. It's not a question of him not being interested in the concerns. He is interested in the concerns, and he does take the allegations that you have raised seriously. So here's an example of somebody who did contact you. Can't tell you who it is without permission.
Okay, well.
But this is an email from ITV.
Someone at ITV to me.
Somebody senior at ITV to the person who made the complaint.
No, someone from you, someone for you to the complainant.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
we'll need to see that.
I'll need to check that. Sorry.
Well, they're fucked now.
Okay, because that seems quite significant. We've talked about non-disclosure agreements a number of times today. And
it's all right, Jane. She categorically stated she had never spoken to person X. She's just said she's just spoken to him the other day. So she's just like contradicted herself yet again. Like, what is going on? This is horrendous. And like, if we didn't break this down, people wouldn't even know, which is why when people say, why are you doing this? We have to do it. We have to do this. We have to hold these people to account. They're in public. They're either public service broadcasters, what she terms herself. These are public people. And these need to be held to account, and this needs to be broken down. And I think there should be a lot more people doing this, that, you know, that should be looking into this and actually asking the right questions.
Confirmed that Mr. X has not been asked to sign a non-disclosure agreement, though he was given a payoff, wasn't he?
I wouldn't characterise it as a payoff. His role was made redundant, and
he staff
after lockdown.
He was a fixed-term contractor, so staff, we treat them in exactly the same way he'd been on fixed-term contracts throughout his time at ITV.
Is that normal to give payouts to folk who are non-staff?
It's normal at ITV. It was an absolutely standard process. I have spoken to our chief people officer who has confirmed that. His settlement agreement that he entered into was completely standard. There is a very clear carve-out for whistleblowing, speaking up, and the payment, I understand, was absolutely standard. Formulated.
Did you see that? She's marked off. She knows the list of questions that are coming, and she marked that question off then. So when he asks a question, she marks it off. They shouldn't even know what questions are going to be coming their way, you know? But So show us the proof that other people got the same payoff. So he left ITV and it was lockdown, but he'd left anyway. So why would he get a settlement? He'd left. And show us the proof of all the other runners that got payments.
As we would have paid to anyone else at that
It was
level.
a redundancy.
It was a redundancy.
Because his role was
situation.
redundant post-COVID.
Okay. Yesterday, the BBC said to us that they were going to release people from non-disclosure agreements that they'd signed in the past, unless it was specifically to do with commercial confidentiality. Are ITV prepared to do the same?
I think we haven't.
Well, to the extent that there are non-disclosure agreements that were entered into historically, I don't know where those would be or what period of time, then yes.
I mean, at the moment, I would have no knowledge of an NDA other than for commercial matters.
So other than commercial matters,
at the moment, I don't have any, I have no knowledge that we have signed NDAs.
I know nothing.
If we have anything historically that we don't know about,
I know
we would
nothing.
look into that, but we would have no reason, I think, to sign NDAs.
Were you saying something a bit more cautious than Miss Mullins? Because Miss Mullins a second ago said, yes, people would be released from those. And you're saying that you'd look into it. Is it look into or release?
No, really, both. I mean, we need to find out if there are any.
Right, but I've phrased my question carefully. We're not talking about commercial NDAs with commercial sensitivity. Just NDAs that, for example, might refer to payoffs for bullying or other matters like that.
Well, can I say, let's be clear about this. We don't have any contracts that would say that they couldn't speak up about bullying or harassment or sexual harassment or anything like that.
Hello, Darren.
There is, Kyla already referred to this. There is a carve-out that is quite clear in any agreement,
that's
a standard agreement that we would do.
Good. And just to go back to my previous question, Mr. Ligo, I'll ask for permission to send you that email. But just for the record, you're saying that to the best of your recollection, you had no meetings with anybody where they talked about bullying culture or inappropriate behaviour with regard to Phillip Schofield.
Yeah, I'm pretty certain I would remember if they were talking about.
Well, I would have thought so. I just asked one final question. Can you confirm that daytime production staff at This Morning referred to their audience in production meetings as Tower Block Tracies?
What? Sorry.
Tower Block Tracies.
I've never heard that phrase.
I have never heard that.
A number of people have told me that.
I've never heard that.
Seems
I don't even
truly
quite know
dismissive. If an idea is regarded as too highbrow, I'm told people say, would that really appeal to the Tower Block Tracies? I agree.
Never heard that.
It's a horrible thing to say.
Yeah,
a horrible thing to say.
It's not what ITV would be looking at as a target audience.
Look, she's laughing.
We wouldn't describe our target audience in that way. And I know that
I
do know one thing, which is that the daytime team on every show really cares about the audience.
ITV used to be the working class station.
Sure.
Thank
BBC.
you, John. Can I just go back a little bit? Are staff ever involved in, are your on-screen talent ever, or presenters ever able to have staff moved from roles or jobs?
Do you mean removed?
Yeah. So say, are staff ever moved on from roles within ITV at the request of presenters or other on-screen talent?
I don't know of an instance, but I suppose it is possible that if a producer or a presenter found somebody very difficult or awkward or something, they might say, I'm finding it very difficult to work with that person, and then maybe an appropriate action will be taken. But I don't know of an example.
Any examples, and would that ring any alarm bells?
No.
Okay. Simon.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning. I want to talk more generally, not talking about any specific case. I think we've covered that ad nauseum this morning, about the training that ITV provides its managers on safeguarding and managing complaints. As a former ITV manager myself, I remember within weeks of being employed, put on a safeguarding course. I can't pretend I remember all of the course now. It's been several years. But could you outline the training that is provided and how far that training is provided amongst managers? Because obviously I worked in news. there's entertainment, there's factual, there's so many different departments. How widespread is that safeguarding
So
training?
we works with them
It's
as
widespread.
well.
So, I mean, the first thing to do is training is important. We do it both online, we do it offline, and we do it on the job. So there are we see it as 3 different types of training, because sometimes on the job training is
Okay, I'm
more
going to
valuable
forward
in
this
some
bit
ways
because we
than
don't really want to hear
filling in
about job
online.
training.
I don't have that detail, but certainly for the last 5 years, if not.
Yeah, so just to clarify then, if you join ITV,
Yes.
what level of management get to do this training?
All staff.
All staff.
All staff.
All staff. Okay.
And if anyone doesn't do it, then that should be flagged and HR follow up.
Okay, and that's obviously that because you have so many sites across the country. How much of that is virtual and how much is that in person? I remember my training course being in person.
But certainly
Exactly,
a
why
lot
wouldn't
of it is virtual. We do
safeguarding?
both, as Carolyn said, it's a multi-pronged attack, but certainly the mandatory training, it's online, it can be tracked. People are notified. We used to do it in one fell swoop and be several hours of mandatory training. We've decided this year that actually that is quite a lot for anyone to do and to really absorb and engage appropriately with. So we're now splitting the mandatory training modules across the year. So there are several to do every couple of months. And it's tracked online. So we track who is doing it, who has missed a deadline, they're reminded, there is follow-up. And we make it clear that if people do not complete their mandatory training, that it could end up being a disciplinary matter.
Has anyone not completed their mandatory training and then ended up with a disciplinary issue?
I don't have that detail. Certainly what I do know is that there are regular, because my team work very closely with HR, for those offenders who have missed a deadline, there are very targeted and individual reminders, and we also get the line manager involved now to make sure. So whether this was, apologies, I'm not sure when you were involved at ITV, but whether this was in your day or what we're doing now, as we said earlier, this is evolving. We're always looking for best practice and new ways to make sure that people actually really absorb and this traction around our policies.
And just to build on that, Simon, there's also some things that are very specific to news, which will be amplified in news, very specific to dramas that have children not working on them, or disability, for instance. We've had a drama which had 2 disabled stars in it. The safeguarding requirements on those would be amplified and bespoke to those. So there is mandatory generalized training, but also quite specific on production, depending on the kind of
We're going to be getting off at the end of this.
Without
so
wanting to go back on the substance of the previous
really
part of
late.
this,
It's like 11:30, so I just want to get through the end of this.
session this morning. Obviously, you've
This
got a case.
is really boring.
Well, in case anybody would like to see it, it's many pages long.
The other programmes that ITV is responsible for, how do you respond to the allegations made by Rebecca Ferguson regarding the treatment of contestants who appeared on the X Factor?
Could you just repeat the question? I didn't hear the middle of it.
How do you respond to the allegations made by Rebecca Ferguson regarding the treatment of contestants on the X Factor?
Okay, I mean, look, the first thing I want to say is we take her allegations. They go back to 2010 or 2011. We obviously would take that seriously. We are the broadcaster of that. So a lot of what we've been talking about shows that we make, and a lot of our training, etc., is all about shows that we make. There is another company involved in making the X Factor, and I'll just hand over to Kevin, and then maybe you can come in on Rebecca.
Sure.
Yes, remember when, as a broadcaster, we commission shows from third parties as well as from our own production arm. We impose kind of very tight restrictions, the same as we would on our own production companies, on things like duty of care and all that aspect of it. Here is our duty of care file in case anybody would like to see it.
Everyone's got one of them. Every business has got a HR file.
So
it means nothing.
That would have been back then, I assume, part of the contractual obligations. But on the ground, it's up to the producer really on a day-to-day basis to check that everything that we've required to do is being done. We would follow up spot checks. We'd have a debrief after the show and everything.
Need a debrief.
Whilst the show is in production, it's got to be the preserve of the production company, whether it's ours or whether it's a third party. On Rebecca Ferguson, I wasn't there. I don't know the details.
Yeah, I think it's also fair to say
really
that
annoyed,
our duty of care requirements
who
of
she
third-party producers has
Like a pride lanyard,
increased
I thought.
significantly since 2019. So we have
Well
a
enough.
completely different way of
Folded
dealing with third-party
arms.
producers on duty of care now than we did in
Well said,
before
retro,
2019,
but I can't show
2018.
your comment because YouTube have held it.
So Rebecca Ferguson did raise
She's panicking,
some
the
issues
water's
with us in
out.
2021. She did refer to her time, and bearing in mind this dated back to 2010. And she had various complaints about how she and other individuals, other participants on the X Factor were treated and handled.
Loving these comments. Thank you, everybody, for
My
joining
legal
me
team
for this.
immediately got in touch
We're nearly
with
done now.
Fremantle Thames, the producer, because they are the people who will have entered into contracts with all of the participants. We ITV don't. We enter into
It'll
a
just be
contract
standard
with
stuff,
Fremantle for the
won't it,
show.
Ruth?
We don't enter into a contract with any of the participants, but we raised all of the issues with them. They responded to all of these, and I think the key message was that actually the issues where Rebecca Ferguson was suggesting that things needed to change, there needed to be a different approach to the music industry, how the music industry deals with young people entering record contracts, and how companies like Fremantle run things. There was confirmation on pretty much, I think, every point that she raised, that actually things had moved on, and moved on quite significantly, and that they took the duty of care very seriously, and there had been changes in the industry. That was passed back to Rebecca. And so when she then said, well, are we going to investigate this? Our response, and I know it's been quoted, that we refused to launch an investigation. I think we believe genuinely that we had, having spoken to the record company, the production company, and having been very clear that all of the points where she felt that there needed to be improvements, there genuinely were, and passed that back, that there was nothing really for
She's
us
still
as
speaking,
the
because I'm not actually
broadcaster
hearing anything, just
to
bullshit.
That day to day. And so Sarah Clark
of NDAs
attitude to this.
No one even met with Rebecca,
with Fremantle. But we replied. We asked the producer to deal with it, just as we would deal with it as a producer on behalf of the broadcast. The broadcast is broadcasting the show, and as Kevin says, we now particularly have very strict requirements on duty of care. In 2010-11, Fremantle would have been dealing with that. They would have been dealing with that day to day. And so Sarah Clark put that through to Fremantle, because they're the producer, and said, actually, if Rebecca was going to meet with anybody, should have been Fremantle. They're still alive and well.
Yes, and if I could also say, that was the response to the second email from or letter from Rebecca Ferguson. The first letter, which raised various points, was responded to in detail, with input, obviously, as I've said, from Fremantle. So it was responded to in detail when Rebecca came back to say, but should you not launch an investigation? That's when Sarah responded, really, to say, I don't think an investigation is appropriate here. We've responded to all of these issues, and things have clearly moved on. So I don't think it was in any way to be dismissive of Rebecca Ferguson or any of the issues that she has.
Without an investigation, how can you be 100% clear what the issues were and whether things have entirely moved on? You're just taking Fremantle's word for it, aren't you?
We didn't feel that there was something for ITV as the broadcaster to investigate.
She actually outlined, I understand, from her first email, all the issues. We have 2 medical professionals who work for us, both retained. We have an external advisor. We have Dr. Sandra Scott, who, people knew her well at ITV. This is not something that I can actually talk about that, because I've spoken to a lot of people at ITV that worked with her and really liked working with her. And they loved working with her on the show, because the show was, she loved the show. So that's the first thing I would say. I think, the family are obviously grieving.
They're talking about Caroline.
I would say we don't ever feel we never feel that we would treat anybody like a commercial.
Caroline was treated horrifically. What did she? Apparently, she had a falling out with a boyfriend or something, and the press hounded her, and they sacked her. Like, she wanted to be the new host of X Factor because she covered for quite a while, and then I remember she didn't get the job. She got dropped from X Factor because she was covering the extra X Factor on ITV2, and she went for the main job, and she said she was sacked and told no, and she killed herself, and they did not look after her. But now Phillip Schofield is now trying to use that, and it's like, hang on a minute. Oh yeah, look, there you go, Illuminati. Caroline didn't threaten to kill herself like Phillip has. Yeah. Caroline Flack didn't go on and do interviews with The Sun and BBC. So Trump does that a lot as well. Just saying.
Whether it's a presenter or a member of staff or a junior person that's coming in for work experience, we would really not want to treat anyone like a commodity.
Bullshit.
Do you want to?
Yeah, I think with Caroline, in that instance, because of things going on in her private life, she said, I don't think I'm fit to do the next series of Love Island. And we said, okay, we understand that. But made it very clear that it was her show. We would get a stand-in, but then she could come back when she wanted to, because she hadn't done anything wrong in our eyes. So I think we were offering her work and all the rest of it. So nobody would agree that we treated her as a commodity.
Is ITV completely?
I've heard about this, Audrey. You see, Simon Schofield wants to get lawyers in, and I'm not allowed to. They don't want me to misuse private information, which is what they keep saying. Well, there's no private information I've misused because it's in the public domain. But there is a link between him and Simon Cowell. And again, everything I do is in the public domain. I just want to get it signed off by a lawyer, but it is in the public domain. If something's in the public, I'm allowed to talk about it, unless there's an injunction out on me which says I can't. That's just a fact. Yes, they're genuine. Yeah, I don't want to talk about it too much because I'm not going to be doing anything else on it until I've spoken to the solicitor.
In that it has a show that's now linked to 4 suicides, let alone that's a show that's still running on your channel as we speak.
So I think that's.
But the trolls that are writing to Phillip Schofield's solicitor to complain about me, they're not even writing to the right bloody solicitor. But let them carry on, idiots.
Gross misrepresentation of the show, because and let me break that down. Caroline was not on the show, and the reason that she very tragically took her life, I think she was going through some extremely public things in her private life. So I don't think you can just correlate and say, bang, this is because she's on a show. I think there were 2 other that I'm aware of that you might be referring to. And I think one of the things I would say is that these are, deeply tragic things. I mean, no one wants to see anyone, whatever age, take their own life. We've thought about it a huge amount. As I said, I don't think any of you can even understand how deeply distressing something like that would be for people who work at ITV.
What about
I've really looked at this in some detail with our, not just with Kevin and Kyla and others, but with people internally.
The rabbit hole I'm going down.
And we've actually taken a lot of professional advice. We've talked to professional advisors. And I think the generally accepted professional opinion is that the causes of the tragedies, of these types of tragedies, are always complex and multiple.
Well, I have spoken to a solicitor already, because I've had someone from the channel get in touch who is a solicitor who's confirmed everything, which is what we thought we knew. So I'm just going to get a second opinion, but I trust this guy. Oh God, I'm so tired. I'm gonna get off in a minute. This woman's so boring, isn't she?
Both individuals you're referring to
No, I haven't seen the bit where she talks about Eamon
took
yet.
their lives 2 years after. They're both on our and particularly is extremely comprehensive, and we're very happy to leave you the file of duty of care so that the committee can see the lengths we go through to
Every
protect both
business has got
participants
a
on the
duty
show,
of care file.
but
You get it
also
when you
our
first
staff
join the
on the show.
business. It's just part
I mean, I'm grateful for that, but I would not be doing my job properly if I were not questioning
sure.
you about your duty of care to either contestants or
I'm happy
employees.
to answer it.
And finally, the share price has gone down by 60% since you started as the CEO,
Funny.
Dame Caroline. Why do you think that is?
Because you were unpopular.
I think that is because we've had COVID, where our share price
COVID
went
again.
down dramatically because we were taking no income.
What about Russia? Blame
Advertising
Russia.
halved and no productions were taking place for quite a long time.
All
We then
down to
recovered from
blame.
that, and we then invested £200 million into our streaming service,
Tell
ITVX.
people where that
The share
money
price went
came
down.
from. Where did it come from? It come from the government in 2000. 2000, the government gave 32 billion to the main broadcasters to push out their propaganda, but they said it was just to help them out.
As a result of that, and it had double whammied because it also was the 5th day of the awful invasion of Ukraine. We are not the only company.
I told you. How long has that taken? 2 hours in, and she brought up Russia. I fucking told you she would bring up Russia. It's the Russians' fault, guys. We knew it was coming. I could have written the script for this fucking shit.
The UK, particularly in not just in media, there's no
32 billion.
comparable
Hello,
media
Louis.
organisation, but RTL's share price has gone down roughly the same. ProSieben in Europe has gone down roughly the same.
make
The
this shit up.
streamers have gone down even more. And so I think the
Fake history.
relativity of your point is the most
Fucking
important
hell.
thing, rather than trying to
I knew it was
not
coming.
see it in the context of the market that we're operating in, with the cost of living, which is also
All
depressing
down to
advertising. And
Putin.
so there is an advertising recession, even though there's not an economic recession. And I think the committee knows only too well that ITV gets no funding from anybody other than from advertising and content. And so therefore, if there's an advertising recession, that will also be weighing heavily on our share price.
Yes, but despite that, you were reportedly paid more than £3.5 million last year. That's a 7% increase on your previous package. Are you being rewarded for failure?
I don't think we're failing. That's the first thing I would say. I don't see how you would sit there and say that ITV is a failing company. We've had 2 years of record profit in 2022 and 2021. We made more advertising revenue in a really challenging market when linear audiences are declining. So we're not a failing company. We make a lot of profit. We want to return more money to shareholders, but we have invested in our future by launching ITVX. We have other plans to make ITV an even stronger company going forward. We have had to invest in technology, in data, and in digital capability, which we have done. I think most people that you would talk to in the advertising world and also in the business world would actually see ITV as a successful company who is navigating and transitioning to the digital world very effectively.
I knew that Russia was
What's more important to you, commercial revenue or treating people fairly?
Treating people fairly.
So despite your increased
You've all
pay, your
walked
staff
out,
received
look.
an average 3% increase in the
Look.
face of inflation.
Okay, so this is, can I just
Do you think
check?
that's fair?
Chair, I really think you have to do the facts, because the 3.4 million includes a long-term incentive plan, which has not been earned yet. So it's part of a package. And so my base salary is actually under £1 million, and I get a short-term bonus and I get a long-term bonus if criteria are met. The other thing I would like to do is just ask you to look at the report and accounts where the remuneration policy is completely outlined. I don't set my salary, the remuneration committee do. And so I would ask you to look at that, and we're very happy to give you our report and accounts.
Do you think you should keep your job?
Thank you, Louis.
And I think that most people, I mean, I do.
Louis, have you been catching all the streams I've been doing outside of the bunnies? I've been doing like daily streams in the garden. So if you love the bunnies and you want to see them, I've been giving you loads and loads of bunny content. So there you go. Yeah, she blamed the plague and then she blamed it on Russia invading Ukraine. Sack them all. They're all woke. You know, you get an ex-Guardian people and you've got a problem. I knew she was going to blame Russia. Oh, well, thank you, Louis. We had Oscar out after my stream as well, just for like 10 minutes, because he was trying to get out the window again. He wants to go and play. But then when he gets out there, he doesn't know what to do with himself. Yeah, I think the Simon Cowell thing, like this, I just think that they've been getting away with it for too long. And in this day and age with the internet, how it is, everything's getting out in the public domain and they're struggling to cover it up more and more now. I don't know, B10. I don't know. What happened to that Neil Buchanan? Did he die as well? Why are they all dying? I don't get it. Like Mark Spate, why did he do that? Now, I've been told that Mark Spate's girlfriend killed herself, or she got unalive because she was about to blow the lid off the paedophilia. I don't know how true that is. I haven't looked into it. That's just what I've heard. That's just rumours, I think. But yeah, that was quick.
Thank you. That concludes today's questioning. Can I thank all of you for appearing in front of us today? I hope that you all and everybody that's been watching this goes away with a very strong message that today has not been about Phillip Schofield, it's not been about Person X, it's been very much about ITV as an employer and as an institution. I would like to hope that some of the answers that you've given today provide some form of reassurance to people working for ITV and those who, through no fault of their own, have left the organisations, and that the issues that they've raised have been taken seriously. But I am slightly concerned that you're waiting for the results of the investigation before taking any action to improve the working environment. There's clearly some work for ITV to do here to rebuild trust with us, but with its staff, more importantly, its staff and with its viewers, that it's a safe and welcoming workplace. We want to be really confident that ITV has processes and the people in place to meet its duty of care and to deal appropriately with complaints. We want to be confident that ITV is not letting star power and favoritism damage the lives and careers of people working there. And more importantly than that, we want to be confident that where mistakes have been made, ITV will be making changes rather than making jokes about aubergines. We will be watching very closely to see whether you achieve this.
Well, I don't know if I'm allowed to say anything at the end of this to what you've just said, but I think in every single thing that we've said, we've told you we've taken this seriously, and it has been about Phillip Schofield and Person X. We've spent an awful lot of time talking about that, and that is absolutely fine. But I think that we will take every allegation about our culture seriously, but I think it would be very wrong to depict ITV as having an issue on that. I think it would, we have given you a whole load of tangible evidence that we take it very seriously, that we will listen, that we will act, and we will not wait for the KC. We will be doing, as we always do, we'll be looking at everything that we do and we will be trying to improve it.
What a horrible woman.
Thank you very much for listening to us and giving us the opportunity to put some facts straight.
Some facts straight, but not many. Right, I'll put the link into that if you want to go and bore yourself with it. For those of you that are stuck with me, thank you. I know that woman was boring as hell, but I think we needed to do that. We did it over 2 parts because I wanted to go through exactly what was said. I think that was important, that it's all transparent. Now, I've broken it down for you. I've given my thoughts. You guys have given Cole kind of work comments disabled. That's what they're doing a lot lately. They're letting her end the meeting, yeah. Oh, really? It's Neil Buchanan. I thought he died. Anyway, guys, I'm going to get off now because it is like midnight. Wow, it's late, and I'm just going to have something to eat now. So, yeah, we're going to watch Black Mirror. New Black Mirror's on Netflix. I think that was a total cover-up. I really do. She should not have ended the meeting. It was disgusting. It was shocking. If you enjoyed the stream, please hit the like or the dislike. Just bear with me on the next Simon Schofield video. And like I say, if that article is up, it's in the public domain. And there are many, many other channels talking about this. So why aren't they being told to shut up? Why me? I don't get it. Why are they bullying me? I'm not responding to any more of their nasty letters anyway. But yeah, they are. Yeah, Black Mirror tells us everything, but I still like watching it. Even I know, to be honest with you, watch Black Mirror to find out what's coming next year. Thank you, everybody. I'm glad you've enjoyed it. Please hit the like if you enjoy the content, or the dislike if you don't. I don't think there'll be a stream tomorrow night. I'll be streaming on Sunday night. We'll be doing a paranormal phone-in on the Curious Bunny. If you're not subscribed, please check it out. Yeah, but the thing is, if I mark it as spam, it'll be deleted after a month. So I don't want to delete it, but I also will not be replying to it or reading them. So I might, if I do stream tomorrow, it will just be in the garden with the Bunsters as a chill. But I might be going out. I'm not sure on. We'll see. I might be seeing my friends tomorrow. But for now, I want to say a massive thank you for everyone for being here, for your support. I really, really appreciate you guys. The trolls are trying to silence me by doing everything possible. They're even getting in contact with Simon Schofield, apparently. It's just ridiculous. You couldn't make this shit up. We're not bothering. Thank you, Vicky. We're not bothering anybody. We're just trying to put out truth. And I don't understand why people want to get involved. But there you go. People do. People have got nothing better to do with their time than watch me rage watching. Why would you want to rage watch? If you don't like me, don't watch me. That's all you have to do, folks. Right, good night, guys. Lots of love. God bless. And I'll see you all very, very soon. Bye.